Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Football.
Yeah, welcome into a Week 16 Purple Picks episode here with Phil and Judd. Dex on vacation today as we make our picks for this game between the Vikings and the Lions and give you some of the trends that the smart people in the sports books are talking about. But a shout out first to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company, just named recently one of the 10 best employers in the state of Minnesota by Forbes. And Federated is also here to help your business grow through risk management. Federated's corporate culture is grounded in equity, integrity, teamwork, and respect. And these four cornerstones create the foundation that supports all interactions and decision-making. You can find out more about Federated at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. We got 2 games against the Lions here in the next 3 weeks, and maybe a third if things play out standings-wise. Pretty crazy.
3 games, buckle up, division games. With the Rams beating the Saints on Thursday now. Just briefly, at least, the Rams have overtaken the Vikings for the 6th seed, but they're 7 seeds. This is chaos, Phil.
It's great. It's it's relevant, fun football. I know a lot of fans are kind of like, oh, here we go. We're back to a 9-win path and mediocrity. And yeah, like we talked about that on Feedback Friday this week. But for this game specifically, let's start with the question, what are you most confident on behalf of the Vikings going into this game?
I am most confident in the fact that I think the Vikings are going to rebound in this game. I think the Bengals loss extremely disappointing. I think the Vikings will rebound, and I am putting Justin Jefferson on a pretty good day. Now the Lions' pass defense is 18th. They're giving up 225 yards per game, so they're not great. They're not awful, but they're not great. But I think Justin Jefferson has a big game. I just have a feeling it's going to be. He's now been back. He didn't have a bad game against the Bengals, but I just have a sneaky suspicion that he is going to, and the Vikings are going to be able to exploit some weaknesses in this Lions secondary, number 18, on a day that there will be a whiteout, will bring a lot of Christmas joy.
Yeah. I would say kind of in the same, I'll be more specific about my confidence here in that the Vikings should score points at home against the Lions. The Lions on the road, their defense, let's just say, does not travel well. I don't know if it gets stuck on the plane or in baggage claim, but the last 4 road games for the Lions defense, an average of 33 points per game allowed. So you're walking in here and you're facing a backup quarterback, but the Vikings have weapons. Jordan Addison is on pace for 1,000 yards, and TJ Hawkinson's going to want to get fired up against the team that traded him last year. So I think you should be able to put up 27, 28 points here.
Yep. And
see what your defense can do against a really high-powered offense that Detroit has. So I'm confident the Vikings, based on the Lions' road performances, should be able to score points. What scares you the most about this game?
Conversely, the Lions' offense scares me. Now the Vikings, Brian Flores' defense is 6th in scoring this year. They're a very, very respectable 12th in total defense, which of course does not mean as much as scoring. But the last 3 games, there have been things about the Vikings defense that's definitely been exploited. And for sure, the Bengals game was troublesome. When you score 24 points after the 4th quarter, 21 points in the 4th quarter alone. And the Lions are a team with Ben Johnson, their OC, who almost certainly is going to become a head coach, right? They are 5th in scoring, averaging 27.3 points per game. They're 3rd in total offense at 394 yards per game. They're 2nd in the rushing game. They're 4th in the passing game. And if they have enough film on the Vikings defense, Flores, I'm sure, will throw some wrinkles because that's his specialty. But this is going to be a real test. And so this is the one that scares me, is if the Vikings have to outscore the Lions, can they do it? Because the Lions are proving within their success, they can definitely outscore opponents a lot of times.
Yeah. To piggyback off yours, then I'll give you my biggest fear. The Lions offense is big, fast, and creative. And if you sort of key in on some of the things they do offensively, first of all, they play their two running backs off each other really, really well. You got Montgomery, you got Gibbs. I think Gibbs is averaging like 5.5 yards a carry. Montgomery, sort of the veteran, the hammer, who you can also use in the pass game, he's close to 5 yards a carry. So they have an excellent run game. And I brought this up on Write That Down on Wednesday. They will creatively bring in an extra offensive tackle, not in like goal line heavy packages. They'll do that too. But they'll just be in the middle of the field driving, and all of a sudden there's like an extra tackle off the right tackle to either set up a play action or to just be out there road grading for a big gain. So the offense definitely scares me. But I would say Nick Mullens is my biggest fear in this game. All the things we feared about Mullens going into that game last week came to fruition. The bad interceptions, the shooting himself in the foot. Now, he can sling it, man. Like, he's not afraid to throw a ball into a tight window to aim down the field and try to make a big play, and that's awesome, and they need that. But how much are you giving up on the other end with dumb interceptions and just, So I went and just looked. He's now started 18 games in his NFL career going back a handful of years. So 18 starts. He has a combined 33 interceptions and fumbles in those 18 starts. So almost 2 per game on average. It's 25 interceptions in 18 starts, and then it's 8 fumbles.
He thinks he's Favre.
Yeah.
Southern Miss. He thinks he's Favre. Like, it's scary because Brett, God knows Brett made some stupid plays, but Brett Favre was an unbelievably talented. His arm strength was, incredible. Some of the stuff that Nick does, it's just like, what are you even thinking about?
See, but I think the difference from last week is in those situations where you're playing the Bengals, and Jake Browning played really well down the stretch, but they're playing a backup quarterback. Your defense is rolling,
right?
And you're in a situation where 21 to 23 points probably wins you that game, unless you start giving the ball back to them. And so he's getting into field goal range a couple times, and in that game, it's like, okay. You don't always want to play for a field goal, but this feels like a game where if you can just kind of get up, like another field goal, now it's 20 to 3, 23 to 3, or 9, or whatever the score was.
Yep.
But this game against the Lions, I don't know that field goals are going to win you this game against the Lions. So you're going to need to get into the red zone, not turn it over, and convert into touchdowns, which the Vikings have one of the lower. They're like bottom 10 in red zone conversion rate. So
right, and if you turn the ball over in your own territory, this Detroit team's probably going to score. Like that. You can't ask your defense in this game to save you every single time.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree. This is why I am. I'm hoping O'Connell pulls the string back a little bit. How about that?
Well, if they can get the running game going too, Declan brought that stat up. The Alexander Madison red zone.
Yeah.
22 red zone carries for Madison, 21 yards. Now I get it's more condensed, but 1 yard a carry, less than 1 yard a carry. Can they get the running game going as they get deeper and just not worry about Mullens throwing a dumb interception?
And that's a great point. Off of this, can the offense simply, if they do get the run game going a bit against Detroit, can they hold the ball more? Because the key here is I don't want my defense to have to spend the whole day on the field against this offense.
Yep. And Jared Goff, he's my guy. I think Jared Goff has emerged as a damn good quarterback that people kind of rag on. Kind of like Kirk Cousins, actually. But at least the difference is when you've given Jared Goff a really good car, he did drive it to the Super Bowl one time a few years ago with the Rams. And this is another really good car. So you can fluster him, and he will short circuit a couple times here and there. He's already done it. Looks like he's kind of back on track, but how can Flores fluster him? Let's get to what the Sharps are saying about this game via Action Network. Okay. So the Vikings are 3-point underdogs as of this recording. 61% of the bets are on the Vikings. 68% of the money is on the Vikings. So the action is leaning toward the Vikings here.
Yeah, that's where my action's going. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A little tease.
The Lions can clinch an NFC North title with a win in this game. Can you tell me the last time the Lions won a division title?
30 years ago. I looked it up. They haven't even been back to the playoffs since 2016. They haven't even been back to since 2016. If I recall correctly, the 93 game was played was it played in Milwaukee or was played in, I think it was in County Stadium.
Because the Packers would play one game a year there, right?
Yeah.
So this would be their first division championship since 1993. It would be just their fourth division championship since 1957, which is the last time they won the NFL League Championship.
Bobby Lane.
Jeez. That is, I almost, God, I mean, you know, we're pro Vikings here on this show, but you almost like, man, can we just get the Lions a division title one time? Jared Goff indoors, 32-16 against the spread and 22-8 against the spread the last 3 years. So if he were to cover the spread, the Lions would obviously win this game. Kirk Cousins last played for the Vikings in Week 8. Since then, the Vikings offense is 20th in EPA per play, expected points added, and 25th in rushing EPA per play. So they've just been not able to do much of anything analytically. Pretty much after like the first Josh Dobbs experience or two, it's been tough sledding, right?
Yep.
Kevin O'Connell as a favorite and as an underdog. So O'Connell as a favorite is 16-4 straight up, but they're underdogs in this game. So Kevin O'Connell as an underdog is just 4-8 straight up in his young coaching career. Teams coming off an overtime game are now 130 and 160, 130 and 160 straight up over the sample size. So 30 games under 500 coming off an overtime game. Kevin O'Connell on extended rest, because they played Saturday, so they get the extra day, is just 4-4 in his career straight up. I don't like that trend for him. 4-4 after Andy Reid is like famously insane, right. You know, extra rest, bye week,
whatever. That's on the bye, right?
Yeah. And then one more for you here before we make our picks. The Vikings have 23 fumbles as a team, which is tied for the third most in the NFL. The 26 total turnovers are also tied for third in the NFL.
Yeah, that's the thing I hate because it's cost them games.
It's brutal. So, okay, before we get to who wins and who covers, and Declan texted in his official picks, a shout out to our friends over at Zero Res. So feel that peace of mind when you schedule a deep clean of your house. Maybe it's a post-holiday deep clean. There's no better way to deep clean your house than with Zero Res, which has a 4.9 out of 5-star rating on Google with 17,000 reviews. So it's pretty good. Zero Res is offering with the Score North special, 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at just $129. Call Zero Res today, 952-ZERO-RES or ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for that Score North special. ZeroResMinnesota.com. Spell it forward or backwards. It spells the same, Zero Res. Also, our friends at Summit Orthopedics are here to help you recover from, and in fact, I was talking to a friend last night who recently tore his Achilles tendon at like a pickup basketball game.
Oh, that's pickup sports.
Or like his buddies had to like, you know, drive him somewhere. I'm like, that's where Summit Orthopedics has urgent care starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. You don't want to tear your Achilles, but if something happens to you playing old man basketball, you know, Summit Orthopedics is here. No referrals are needed. Same day appointments available. 25 locations in the Twin Cities and greater Minnesota. You can learn more at summitortho.com. That's summitortho.com. So, Judd, we'll go with Declan here first. So he had, wow, by the way, picking Vikings game straight up. So Declan's 9-5 picking Vikings game straight up. You're 7-7. I'm 4-10. Who's going to win, Vikings or this team? I am 4-10 just picking that. So don't listen to what I'm saying.
I've struggled. Yep.
I mean, they're kind of an unpredictable, weird team this year, but
yeah, big roller coaster.
It's shameful. Against the spread, all of us are 5-7-2. The Vikings have pushed 2 straight weeks with 3-point spreads. So Declan has the Vikings winning this game by 1, he said, specifically 24-23. He gave us a score. So he's got the Vikings straight up, and then the Vikings obviously covering the 3 because they are 3-point underdogs.
Correct.
How do you see it?
Vikings win, and thus cover. I'm going to go with the Vikings in this one.
Okay.
I'm going to guess that there is still, because it's jumbled, I'm going to guess there still might be seedings at work in the final week of the regular season. So I'm not going to pick the Vikings to sweep Detroit, but I think the Vikings rebound from the Bengals loss, which was a very difficult defeat. They're home. Although, you look at their record at home, it's not good. I think
It's
they're
not.
like what, 2 games below 500 or something like that.
Mhm.
But I'm going to have faith in the Vikings, and I think the Vikings are going to win this game.
Again, I am 4-10 picking Vikings games. So
Yeah, I'm not going to listen to you.
what I'm about to say, I will say with confidence, but it's probably going to be wrong. I just think the Lions, especially without Kirk Cousins starting for the Vikings, the Lions are a level better than the Vikings are. And I know it's the Lions and it's hard to get past
Right.
it, but if it was
Right.
almost
I
any
hear
other team, you would probably give them a little bit more respect here. So I think the Lions win, and I'm not even going to try and thread the needle here. I think the Lions win, and I think the Lions cover.
Yeah.
I just think they're better. I think they're in a better spot. They just have more mojo going for them this year than the Vikings
So there won't
do.
be a lot of cheers, what you're saying, when we start Ventline on Sunday.
No, I think
ho.
yeah,
ho.
we're gonna have to provide a Christmas Eve therapy session, I guess, is what I'm saying.
How did the guy in Die Hard say it when he
Ho,
finds
ho, ho. Get me my detonators. Where are my detonators?
That's when John McClane sends his friend up in the I have a machine gun now, like is on the sack, and it's Merry Christmas. Ho, ho,
ho, ho, ho. So there it is. All right, you and Declan are on the Vikings side, which is probably going to be the correct side based on our records, and I am skeptical. I think the Lions are one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the NFL. So we'll see what happens at US Bank Stadium. We will be live on Vikings Vent Line Purple Daily YouTube channel, Christmas Eve edition, right after that game is over, and we'll give you our hottest Vikings takes on Christmas as well.
I do have a correction. The last time the Lions won the at the time NFC Central, they did play the Packers in the playoffs. They lost 28-24 at the Silverdome on January the 8th, 1994. So if the Vikings and Lions play again in the playoffs, could the Vikings repeat history and knock off the division champion Lions in the playoffs?
Here's another
Just
question.
saying.
If Ty Chandler were to like twist an ankle, would you call like 50-year-old Barry Sanders, or would you go back to Alexander Madison? I'd put a phone call in. You want to get revenge against the franchise that tormented you and made you retire early? Come on back.
Roger Craig, Amp Lee, maybe.
Amp Lee. Oh, man. All right, there it is. Those are the official picks here. It's the Purple Picks edition of Purple Daily Vikings Entertainment. See you guys tomorrow.